who wrote a book about a doctor on Calvary 50 years ago in Paris, based on shroud studies and gospel accounts. It says that an experiment he did with corpses, with fresh cadavers, that the nail going through here would burst the median nerve and paralyze the thumbs. Now I want you to count how many fingers you can see here. How many fingers can you see? 4. On each hand. And the hands are crossed. And you have a Christ-like image, a naked Christ-like image. You have the poker holes I didn't point out to you originally. The 4 holes that are repeated down here, and just once more over here and here. Whereas the triangular holes are repeated a lot more. And that means they were folded 2 different ways at 2 different times. Now, like these holes are before 1100, and these holes are about less than 500 years ago. Good. So, and then you have herringbone weave, and so you have 5 elements that are also found in the Hungarian piece of art. And Hungary had an embassy in Constantinople in 1150, interestingly. Another historical crossover detail. Okay. You can see the whips as well with the double lead ball and the piece of bone on the other one. And both types were used on the man of the shroud, on his body. Okay. Now let's look at the image of the shroud. Here you have a full-size photodigital reproduction. Okay? And here you can see the place that was used for the carbon-14 dating. But now the only thing, because time is also moving very quickly, we focus on how did the image get on the cloth. And it's very clear that the image was not painted, which was a debated issue for a long time, hotly debated issue. But it's absolutely scientifically clear it's not painted. And the image is very superficial, millimeters deep on the fibers, on the outermost fibers of the fractions of a millimeter. Okay? That's not the way paint works. If I paint your sweater, it goes into all the pores in the tissue. So paintings are in tissues, not on tissues. Okay? So there's one other image that scientists know that's just like this, technically. Not just like it, but almost like it technically. And it's this image of our Blessed Mother in Mexico. It's almost 500 years old. In the pupils of her eyes, there's a reflection of the people who saw the moment it happened 500 years ago, almost. It's another 30 years into 500 years. It has body temperature. It has also 3D information. And it's on pure, untreated, raw vegetable plant matter from a plant that Indians used to make an outer garment. They're like a coat. Okay? Amazing. That's just a scientific, if you want to pass it around, if you haven't seen it before, you're well, feel free. Now go back here. It's not a painting, absolutely ruled out. Second, the title of that image is Our Lady of Guadalupe. She's also pregnant, which is a very interesting pro-life thing that's used in conjunction. Back here, how did the image get on the cloth? Now the next presumption, if it's not painting, and that was Josiah's, that this leading up to Pontius's thought as well, is that the body touched the cloth and left its image. Okay? I'm going to show you that that's not the case. And his jaw dropped. May I borrow a scarf, please? Yes, perfect. Now I need a troublemaker who's pretty tall. This gentleman here. Oh, this man has a good job here. Everybody see you? And we're going to pull his ears in punishment for all his troublemakers. But the idea is, if you look over that corner over there, you see the image of the face and a lot of personal detail. How did that detail get onto the cloth? So the presumption is that the body touched the face. Okay? So we're going to just do that precisely that right here. What's your first name?
Tony.
Tony. This is my Tony. So you get Tony primary points.
Absolutely.
So now, I'm going to pull his ears in punishment. But the idea is to show you how the face information was picked up on the cloth. Can everybody see this? Right? I'm going to punish, and I'll pull his ears. You tell me when I should stop. Is that okay? Now this is how far apart Tony's ears are. Like enough for a buffalo. Or a Hereford. I can even fit in there. And that's because it's wrapped around. Clear? Okay. Now let's put that up here. Now can you draw the conclusion? Was the image formed when the body touched the cloth? Because the ears would be out here, somewhere an inch or more, whatever. And Josiah's? Thank you. Interesting, isn't it? I'm going to do a little experiment. You just put it back here a little bit in front just so everybody can see. You see my foot is making a shadow on the ground. Oh, by the way, before we go there, it's not just the face, it's the whole body. It's not just the front, it's the back. So the whole body has to have this image on the cloth. And it's not done by physical touching, so it has to be sent to the cloth. It was just from the mouth, you could say he spat at it, but it couldn't because it has to be from everything. So, how did that happen? It was sent, projected, radiated, whatever. Energy, vapor, whatever. But there's too many things, other things that you have to take into account, and you can rule out some of these things immediately. Okay? Good. Now look here at the shadow I'm making on the floor with my shoe. Okay? I'm going to make a shadow right there with my hand. Which of the two shadows is stronger? Why is that? It's closer. Now I'm going to project my body onto the cloth. Hold your breath. Now this is the distance from my nose to the cloth. You get it? The distance from my eyeball, the distance from my ear. You follow the logic? The depth of my chest, all the different contours of my body. So there's a relationship physically between the cloth, the intensity of the image on the cloth, and the distance inversely squared. That's a naive explanation, but it's valid as a beginning point. It's a bit more complex. You need to introduce some other principles, but that's valid. I've been through this with some scientists. Okay? So now we can see a rational understanding how come there is a 3D information on the cloth from the body. Now you stay put here and just look at this direction, line up in front of one of the black panels, and I'll turn on some lights. You can't see from there. In order to see the images here, you have to be perpendicular in front of you, or you way down at the center there, you can see both simultaneously. And you need to switch from one side to the other. You are looking at the holograms of the image. On the right hand side, we have the back of the body. On the left side, we have the front. Now you need to go to both places to see them. As you move, watch how you're taking the images, and you can pick up the distance between the body and the cloth. Now, if you're over on the left hand side, you cannot see the right hand side without coming over here. So you have to switch sides and see both sides. You haven't seen this before? Yeah, go over the other side and see the back, the front of the body. And you can see the long hair at the back of his head. You can see at the back of the body the buttocks, how pronounced they are, in their full natural volume, not squashed on a stone. So the body was not pressed on a stone when the image was made. And actually, that's not just true of the buttocks, it's true of all of the back muscles, of the entire back muscles. You should go over the other side so we'll see the front. Have you seen it? Yeah, go down. I want everybody to see it all now, both sides. Now the scientists tell us that to get this quality image on the cloth, nowadays if you try to do it, which they've been unable to do, you would need an instrument in the capacity of an atomic laser. So I say, Leonardo, give me 10. And if we have 3D information that's discovered for about 30 years, and that's now since the last year and a half put on these holograms, we only have these things hanging up for about 8 months already. If we have the 3D information, what's the next step we should do? Do the sculpture, reverse engineer the body. And the holograms cost us 70,000 euros, and the sculpture, the good artist was willing to do it for 50,000 euros. Now please concentrate people, be the first ones around here, or sitting down, and then the tall people just right behind them. And stay between 9 and 3 o'clock because you want to be at that angle to appreciate some of the beauty of this image. Now the basic statement I will just give you, just to finish off scientifically here, the basic statement we can make scientifically about this body is the following. This is the kind of body that would be needed to produce the image that we really have on the cloth. Now I want to offer you a reflection that's not scientific, if you allow me. The whole presentation was based on scientific principles up to this moment. What I want to use now is a little bit of heart and a bit of reason. If you need restrooms, they're upstairs also. They're upstairs and downstairs, right there. So, when you look at this face, what's your take? Do you think that he is angry? Bitter, filled with revenge, frustrated? How do you read the face? Peace. In every single group, and I've had hundreds of groups. Yesterday I had 3 different groups in here, and other people had groups as well in yesterday. Dignity and peace. Can you put on peace like a jacket, or does peace have to come out of your heart? Okay. Now over there we can see with the instruments of the Passion and the information we have that the shroud is a mirror image of the gospel account of the Passion, right? From the external wounds afflicted on the body. But here I have another question for you, with a little caveat. We do know that when people die in atrocious pain with wrenched features, that they relax after death. That's understandable because the body doesn't have to fight anymore. So there's a serenity that enters before the rigor mortis. The body serens a little bit and calms down. Well, just leaving that issue aside for a moment. Would it be unfair to ask the following question? If this countenance might not be a reflection of the heart of him who said, Father, forgive them. They do not know what they are doing. Right. What kind of peace was in the heart that said that? What kind of self-dominion? And it's interesting, I never thought about that. And I'm 35 years in religious life. Since high school I joined the order. And many times when I'm meditating on Calvary, you think about the sorrow, the suffering, you think about the pain, the cruelty of the human being, you think about what was in God's mind to come and take that on. And so many other themes. I never thought about the peace. And what I'm going to offer you now is a further little reflection about the peace in Calvary. He goes on to say, today you'll be with me in paradise. How do you understand that? How could he be talking so positively in this condition? Completely beaten up. In atrocious pain. Today you'll be with me in paradise. What kind of peace did that affirmation imply? And I compare this to the rugby or American football player who's getting pounded on the field. Maybe even a broken bone, but he won't be angry. But if you hit him in the classroom, that same kid will rebel. And in the game, it's part of the game. And he's going to win a trophy and it's worth it. So here there's a trophy and it's within reach. Today you'll be with me in paradise. And then he goes on to say, mother, your son. Son, your mother. How can you be in such pain and think of other people's needs? And then I remember my own mother, God rest her soul. I'm the oldest of 5 children on a rainy farm in the west of Ireland. And we often got our share of colds in the wintertime. All 5 would be down. My mother and dad worse, and my mother would serve us and humour us like she had nothing. And yet her love was only a fraction, a shadow of the love that was in Calvary. And then he went on to say, everything is fulfilled. And I find 2 veins of peace there. Number 1, I knew everything was coming. The prophets had said he must suffer and so enter his glory. And when I have to go to the dentist next week, I don't like it. I live with it. I don't lose people. I'm at peace. But if I have a pain that I don't understand its origin, that could be a tumor, I'm going to find out what that is. I won't be a piece of metal.